In the workplace, people rarely reveal who they are through big speeches or dramatic moments. Most of the time, they reveal themselves quietly through patterns, through small habits, through the way they respond when no one is watching. Because work is not only a place where tasks are completed, it is one of the clearest environments where personality becomes visible. Every professional setting is filled with invisible signals. The way someone enters a room, the way they listen, the way they speak when they are uncertain, the way they react when they are challenged. These behaviors are not random. They are psychological fingerprints. And once you begin to notice them, you realize something important. In the workplace, behavior is often the most honest form of communication. People may control their words, but they rarely control their patterns. Someone who constantly interrupts may not simply be impatient. They may be driven by anxiety, a fear of losing control, or a need to establish dominance before they feel ignored. Someone who stays silent in meetings may not lack ideas. They may have learned that visibility brings risk, that speaking invites judgment, that safety comes from being unnoticed. Work becomes a stage where the brain performs strategies that were built long before the job itself. Many workplace habits are not about professionalism. They are about survival. For example, some people become perfectionists not because they love precision, but because mistakes once carried a heavy emotional cost. Their brain learned that being flawless was the only way to stay safe. Others become overly agreeable, not because they're naturally kind, but because conflict once felt dangerous. Their nervous system prefers harmony, even when it requires self-erasure. And some people become intensely competitive, not because they enjoy winning, but because losing feels like humiliation. In psychology, the workplace is not just a place of labor. It is a mirror, a social laboratory where the mind reveals its deepest preferences and defenses. And the most experienced observers are not those who know the most theories. They are the ones who can read these behavioral patterns without being distracted by surface appearances. Because in work culture, people often wear masks, titles, smiles, politeness, professionalism. But underneath, the mind is always sending signals. A person's habitual behavior is like a quiet autobiography. It tells you what they value, what they fear, what they believe about themselves. Consider how people handle responsibility. Some individuals take ownership quickly, not because they are naturally confident, but because uncertainty feels unbearable. Their brain prefers control over ambiguity. Others avoid responsibility, not because they are lazy, but because responsibility feels like exposure, like a spotlight, like a risk of failure that could damage their identity. In the workplace, the way someone approaches responsibility often reveals their relationship with self-worth. And then there is the psychology of attention. Some people constantly seek recognition. They speak often, volunteer frequently, make sure they are seen. This is not always ego. Sometimes it is insecurity disguised as ambition. The mind is asking, if I am not noticed, do I still matter? Other people avoid attention entirely. They do excellent work quietly, but resist praise. They fear visibility more than they desire reward. Their brain has linked attention with pressure, expectation, or emotional danger. These patterns are not conscious decisions. They are emotional strategies. The workplace also reveals how people relate to power. Watch how someone behaves around authority. Some become overly formal, tense, careful. Their mind treats hierarchy as threat. Others become rebellious, sarcastic, dismissive. Their mind treats authority as intrusion. And some become excessively loyal, not because they admire the leader, but because alignment feels safer than independence. Power dynamics activate deep psychological scripts. Work is never only about work. It is about belonging, about safety, about identity. And this is why offices are often emotionally intense environments, even when nothing dramatic is happening. Because the human brain is not designed to separate productivity from social survival. Every email carries tone. Every meeting carries status. Every silence carries interpretation. People are constantly scanning. Am I respected? Am I included? Am I at risk? And this is where workplace behavior becomes the clearest psychological document. The smallest reactions matter. The way someone responds to feedback. Some people become defensive instantly, not because the feedback is harsh, but because criticism activates shame. Their mind hears, "You are not enough." Others become overly apologetic. They collapse under correction. Their brain associates mistakes with rejection. And some people become calm and curious because their self-worth is not tied to perfection. They can learn without feeling threatened. Feedback is never just information. It is emotional. Another powerful workplace signal is how people handle uncertainty. Some people rush decisions. They prefer closure, even if it is imperfect. Their brain cannot tolerate open loops. Others delay endlessly, seeking the perfect choice. Their brain fears regret more than it values action. Both are psychological responses to uncertainty. Work constantly forces decisions, and decisions expose the mind's comfort with risk. And then there's the hidden psychology of cooperation. Some people collaborate naturally because trust feels easy. Others guard information because vulnerability feels unsafe. Some overhelp because being needed gives them value. Others refuse help because dependence feels like weakness. These are not simply professional styles. They are emotional histories playing out in modern environments. If you want to understand people at work, do not only listen to what they claim, watch what they repeat. Habits are the mind's true language. The workplace becomes a psychological biography written in real time. And once you learn to see it, you realize that the person in front of you is always expressing something deeper than their role. Their behavior is their message. Their patterns are their truth. And the more carefully you observe, the more clearly you understand. In work, the smallest actions often reveal the largest inner worlds.